Paul Mokeski. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope your team won last night. I'll be waiting for my team to get in there before I get excited. And as a Detroit Lion fan, it may be a while, but that's beside the point. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good, Ricky.
Doing well. Doing well. Good evening.
Hey, we're excited. We got a special guest coming up in a few minutes. We're going to be joined by Hall of Fame basketball player Jack Sikma. I'm excited about that. But before Jack gets in here, got to talk about last night for a few minutes, guys. I was stunned. I wasn't surprised Tampa Bay won the game, but to see those guys dominate the way they did last night just took me back, Paul.
Well, what kind of odds could you get if you would have bet that Mahomes would not score and the Chiefs would not score a touchdown? 100 to 1?
Yeah.
200 to 1?
Yeah.
I mean, they scored 3 field. That's just, I mean, the defense was the defense, but to only score 3 field goals, wow. And like we were talking, Mahomes is on his high horse, not his high horse, his get out of town horse all game long, trying not to get killed back there.
It's funny because they always talk about, how fast Tyreek Hill is. Last night, we could have tested Mahomes' his 40-yard dash time. Because, man, he looked like Usain Bolt back there. And you can't really – it's hard to blame Mahomes because if you look, he made some fantastic throws. On 2 throws, he hit his own teammates in the mask, and they face mask. So he played well, but, I mean, they were up against the odds. They lost 2 of their linemen. They've had some injuries, actually 3 during the course of the year. And they've had some injuries, but I thought I didn't think they competed as well as people thought. And I think that was the disappointing part.
It seemed like some guys on that team were nervous, especially like the punter, right? The punter looked nervous. He bobbled the punt. He kicked one off the side of his foot. It looked like the Chiefs had never been to a Super Bowl before. That's what it looked like to me.
The domino effect, Paul. And then you see Honey Badger started fussing. He let Tom Brady get into his head. And as you know, all the little things before halftime, he's arguing with Brady. And Brady, so that's playing right into Tom Brady's hands. So it's a lot of little things, the injuries. It just was, I'm going to say this. The bottom line is Tampa Bay deserved to be champions. I thought they played fantastic on the offensive line and defensive line on both sides of the ball. And I think they deserve to be crowned champions for 2020-21.
Yeah, don't go poking the bear. I mean, what is he thinking, going over to get in Brady's face? That's just ridiculous. What are you doing? And, it just, and then it told a story, too, because the camera was on their bench, too, and they had a coach and a couple players have to try and come over and calm that guy down. That's losing your cool. I mean, you can't show that to someone, like Brady or a great team. They're going to feed on that. Yeah, okay, we got him where we want him now, and they did. And, just like against the Packers, Tampa Bay got the ball back at the end of the first half and scored a touchdown, just like the Packers.
Yeah, well, guys, there was a controversy a couple of days before the game. Coach Reed's son was involved in a serious car accident. People were injured. There's controversy behind that. Could that have leaked into their preparation, you think?
I don't think it would have leaked in that much for the players, but obviously for Andy Reid, it's his son, and it's just a bad situation. And his son had been through the problems before, and I think it affected Andy Reid a little bit, but that doesn't really have an effect on the overall game. A little bit, but it was more than that. Kansas City beat Tampa Bay earlier in the year. I saw someone talking on ESPN that, Kansas City was like, okay, we should do this again and this again, and we could do this again. Whereas Tampa Bay was saying, we need to change this and we need to change that. That had a more of effect than I think the unfortunate situation, in my opinion.
The Reed situation was it was a tragedy. I mean, either way, whether the young ladies live or not, it's a tragedy. But I think the players were focused on the game. Maybe their preparation outside of not dealing with the Reed situation, but maybe their preparation what it shouldn't have been. If you really look at it, I thought Kansas City looked a little arrogant the last few weeks. We started hearing the conversation about the GOAT, Mahomes being the GOAT, a lot of different factors. And I think when it comes to playoffs, and Paul knows, and when it comes down to the championship, you have to be all in. You have to be focused only on the task. And if you look at Tom Brady, every time he had an interview, he stayed on point. He stayed on task. And his guys were there for one reason. He got on the player about crying after they won the semifinals. And he's like, look, man, we're here to win it all. And when you have someone like that, it gets you kind of focused. It keeps you grounded. And I think that there were a lot of factors. But at the end of the day, you have to congratulate Tampa Bay. They won the last 8 or 9 games of the season. And they deserve to be, they were the shining light at the end of the day.
Yeah, sometimes I've been on a couple teams, but sometimes like championship teams that have new players or whatever, and they win the West or they win the East and they go to the NBA Finals and they want to pop champagne in the locker room. And you're like, no, we don't pop our champagne till you win the whole thing. I think that had something to do with it too.
Right. Brady's definitely set the tone for that team. And definitely shout out to our viewers out there. And our good buddy John Washington says, "What's up, fellas?" And he says, "No, Rick, is the defensive line that killed those backup linemen." And that certainly had a big part to do with it. Kayvon checks in and says, "Hello, Big Mo." And, he was under pressure throughout the game. I saw a stat. He ran 437 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Guys, that's 4 football fields.
I said he'd run around, Rick. He ran a marathon. That's crucial, man. I'm telling you. That has nothing to do with the referees. There were a few questionable calls, but that's in every football game. At the end of the day, man, Tampa Bay was there to win it. Every time when they got Kansas City got an opportunity to capitalize or to cut the lead, we see they made a stop on 3rd down. They made Mahomes run on 3rd down when he's used to standing in the pocket or getting outside the pocket going east and west, but he's able to make plays. He wasn't going east and west, man. He was headed strictly south. And hey, the best team won the game. I mean, bottom line, they were more well prepared.
Not like brain surgery, but I saw Adamakan Sue on a show today, and he was complimenting their coaching staff and how they got us prepared. And our game plan was to not let Mahomes roll right. We wanted to push him back to his left and then put pressure on him. And it seems simple and it seems easy, but we know it's not easy. And it does have a big effect. And they followed their game plan really well.
Hey, Paul, Eric Fisher was on his left, if I'm correct. When they lost Eric Fisher, that's when I went all the way full bore Tampa Bay, is when they lost Eric Fisher. I told all my friends who were talking all the Kansas City noise. I said, I know you guys aren't listening to me. I'm gonna say it again for like the 10th time. They're 17-1 when Eric Fisher's on that left side for Mahomes has his blind side. They're 3-3 when he doesn't play. And I thought that was a huge factor because you have to move players out of their normal positions. And when you start doing that, it creates chaos. And it's not saying the guys didn't do their job. They weren't familiar with what was going on. And that's what ended up hurting them at the end of the game.
That's a strategy that basketball coaches use, especially in the NBA. Sometimes you have a player that should be a starter, right? He's good enough to start for you, but you put him on the second unit to come in off the bench, not only to help that second unit, but because now he's going to be playing against the other team's second unit, which makes him even more effective. And that's kind of what you're saying, D, with they had to move the line around.
Yeah, they had to move essentially 3 guys. And for our viewers, Eric Fisher's the left tackle for the Chiefs. Hey, I want to talk about Tom Brady. You guys both competed against arguably the greatest basketball player ever, arguably Michael Jordan. Tom Brady's arguably the greatest football player ever, certainly the greatest quarterback ever. Do you guys see any similarities having competed with Jordan and what you see out of Brady?
Yeah, I'll take it first. They have the mindset. If you look at it, Ricky, you know I'm a big Mike Jordan fan and not so much LeBron, all right? But if you look at LeBron today, why he's moved up into the conversation is because of his IQ continues to raise. He raises it a level every year. He's playing now, man. I looked at him the other day. He went around his back for no reason whatsoever, just to freeze the defense, I guess, just acting silly. And then he makes the pass to the corner for a three-pointer from the left. Yeah. So you just get to the point where you see everything before it happens, man. And these guys at that level, it's only a handful of them. And that's where Tom Brady is. He sees everything. He's never in a rush. He's never in a hurry. And that's what separates the greats. They have the talent. They have the mindset. And that's what they have. That's the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James. That's the upper echelon.
The other thing that I can see that are very similar is the preparation. Their preparation is just at this level, you know, both physically and mentally, and watching film, and like you said, D, basketball IQ, football IQ. Their preparation is so much higher than the average person. And when you put that kind of preparation with that kind of talent, then you have guys like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Tom Brady, guys like that.
Thank you for putting Bird in there, man. You know I don't like we do shows and I don't mention Larry Bird, man. That's my guy.
And you know what else I thought was similar, and we mentioned it earlier. After the Bucks won to get to the Super Bowl, one of the guys were crying in tears of joy, and Tom's like, whoa, we hadn't done anything yet. And you know, Michael was famous for taking his teammates on and pushing them to a higher level.
When you're a leader like that, people follow, right? Not only are you one of the best players, but you have that mentality and that preparation. So other guys are going to follow you. So you're going to lift their game up because they're following you and doing the same, trying to do the same thing.
I've never heard you're in it to second place it. I've only heard you're in it to win it. And that's why you play the game. They don't talk too much about second place. I think second place in professional sports is fantastic, but they are only known for bringing home the cake. And that's what Tom Brady has been able to do, set on a 70% rate. And that's, I think it's phenomenal. And I got to give it up to him today, man. Times have changed. 43 years old, and he's winning his 7th Super Bowl. I think that is just, it's inexplainable. It's just it's unreal. It's unfathomable.
And you know another guy who thought like that, another guy who thinks like that, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. I don't know who all saw the recent documentary. He was out at the 2008 U.S. Open, and he's playing on a fracture in his leg, a broken leg. And his caddy Stevie Williams says, "Tiger," because he's limping around. He says, "Tiger, why don't we just call it quits and so you can come back?" Tiger says, "F you, man. I'm winning this tournament."
Hey, Ricky, if you and Paul, you know how special it is, man. A team that hasn't won since the Doug Williams days, I believe. I want you to really think about that. Tampa Bay has not done a whole lot better than our Detroit Lions, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, other teams. They've had talent. And you bring in Tom Brady, a 43-year-old. And then you reach the pinnacle, man. I mean, in 1 year, Ricky, we're not talking 2 or 3 years. Within 1 year, you reach the pinnacle. Just everything about him, it brought out the best in his team. And that's true belief. That means they believed in him, man. And every player on that team bought in. And that's why they're the champions. You could talk in front of the media and all that, but we always talk about behind the scenes. So it tells me behind the scenes, Tom must be a heck of a guy as far as dealing with his teammates, man, because every single player bought in. And we saw the culmination at the end last night, man. It was unbelievable.
And who did he throw to when it mattered the most? Good old Gronk, his good old buddy that he knows will come through for him. And there you see him scoring 2 touchdowns. And now he's going to have a fight on his hands because Gronk's going to want to ride off into the sunset with his Super Bowl and his 2 touchdowns. And Brady's going, no, Gronk, you got to come back for a couple more.
And I hope this raises. I hope this was a wake-up call once and for all for Antonio Brown, man. I was so happy to see him get a touchdown. We know he still has some legal issues going on, but I'm hoping he makes it through this. And this is something that we never have to visit again. But I have to say, I was really happy to see him with his family or whoever the people are out there with him, his security blanket. And I'm just hoping that he can continue to move forward with this, man. I thought it was something great for him.
And you know what else, going back to Gronk, guys, you know, Brady hadn't gone to him very much.
Only when it matters. Only when it counts. It
wasn't a big game, Ricky.
Right. I mean,
I'll tell you what, though, Gronk's not sitting on his hands over there. He's blocking the hell out of people. He's mowing people over. So, you know, only when it counts is when you look for Gronk.
And remember, Antonio Brown didn't play the last game. I mentioned that as well in my pick. Antonio Brown didn't play the last game. So bringing him back opens it up a little more. Why they kept spending so much time talking about Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, they forgot about a guy, Antonio Brown, that has been a record setter. And I had to factor that in as well. So I was glad once again to see him get the touchdown, but I'm hoping he can continue on a forward path from here. And I just want to congratulate them, man. They earned it. Tom Brady and the rest of the team, the crew. Congratulations.
Let me check in with our readers. A friend, let's see, we got a shout out from Mike Carter, says Shalom D. Gerb and Big Mo in the house. Kayvon, I can't stand LeBron James, but at least he's not a MAGA-loving cheese puff like Tom Brady is.
Wow.
John
Give that man some respect, man. At least one day of some glory.
You got to give it to him, man. Big Mo, these Bucks needed a guy like Brady. It reminds me of the 76 getting that piece with Moses. But, man, we're going to cut it short and bring in our next guest because we got royalty in the house, guys.
Wow. Mr. Sigma, man. Are you there, Mr. Sigma?
We got a basketball Hall of Famer, Jack Sigma, is checking in with us right now. We should have him up in a second. Jack, can you hear us?
Here, let me help you out, Jack. Take it off mute.
All right. How's that sound?
Jack, hey.
We hear you, so we know we'll see you shortly.
Okay, good. Good. We're all set.
Make sure you got to go to the visual.
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Man, he still sounds like he's 25 years old.
Well, I had to update my Zoom. That tells you how often I use Zoom. So
Okay, we may not have you face to face then, but you can hear us okay.
I see you and hear you. So
Okay.
We're good to go. Whoops.
Can you try that camera, Jack?
Okay, camera.
Wow.
You know, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, you know, they have people.
Yeah, well, you know, I need one of my kids here to help me get through this.
Right. And you take your time, Jack, and we can get the conversation started.
First, I'm saying good evening, man. Before we even start, I'm saying, how you doing, Mr. Sigma? I haven't played against you since the early 90s. Bring back the Supersonics.
Yes, for sure. We sure miss him here in Seattle. It's a big hole left in the city. We finally got hockey here, so who knows? Hopefully the NBA will find a way to get a team back here.
And you know people want to see how you're wearing your hair these days, sir.
Yeah, well, it's no more curly hair, no more curly hair, just a sweep over. You know, trying to hide any of the thinning that happens at my age, for sure.
Hey, when you and Mo were in Milwaukee, man, y'all had the hairdos going. Mo had his curly top, and you had your curly top going, Jack.
Yeah, well, they couldn't stay away from us either.
Are you still working on that camera, Jack?
I am.
Okay.
Where should I look, Mo? Help me through this.
I think there's something on the top
No, hey, Jack, on your bottom to your left, you may see something.
Yeah, it's on the bottom.
It says stop video.
You don't want to stop it. You want to start.
No, I don't.
So Ricky, maybe you should hit that because it's already stopped. So hit that and see what happens.
Hey, Jack, while you doing this, I want to do this.
I see your screen now. How was that? You can also, there's something on the left there, Jack, that says switch to gallery view. That could help too.
Okay.
I just
Well, I got lots of different things on my screen here.
I just saw him just now. Well, folks, where we can see him or not, we got a great one on tonight. And thank you for tuning in. Great Jack Sigma, who was elected to the Hall of Fame. I will get into that, but man, wow. I'm excited.
Until we get Jack on, let's check this out.
When Jack Sigma made the leap to the NBA, he was hardly a household name.
The blonde bomber from Illinois, Wesleyan.
I'll never forget when we drafted him, the headline in the paper the next day was Jack Who.
Sigma was chosen because Lenny Wilkins had become intrigued by a unique skill set.
I had seen Jack play in the small college tournament, and I thought he would be a perfect fit for the Sonics at that time.
Oh my God.
On his arrival, Jack proved to be a tough cover.
Look at Sigma hustle on that play.
Sigma, boy, he's a fine young player this late.
His fundamentals were exquisite and his footwork magical.
Sigma's career would be built on those fundamentals and a signature shot.
Sigma, unstoppable. That's his trademark with that jump shot. No one has ever stopped it yet.
He would bring the ball all the way back behind his head, so it was hard to block it.
Turns around, that behind the header goes.
During his second season, Sigma was the man in the middle for the 1979 NBA champion Sonics.
It is over. The Seattle Supersonics have won the NBA World Championship Series.
He was a part of that legacy that we established there in Seattle.
After being acquired by the Bucks, he continued to redefine the center position in the NBA.
Sigma works around Elijah Wan. A nice basket by Jack Sigma.
He was a unique player at the beginning of an era that had never seen a big man play quite like he did.
Jack.
Hello.
Hey, man, I got one question. Somebody taught you at an early age to keep that ball high. I don't think I ever saw you where that ball was not being held high.
Yeah, I credit that to my college coach. You know, I was really, really, really skinny when I got to college, and I couldn't play the power game very well. People had knocked me off balance and so forth. So being a decent shooter, he encouraged me. Again, we worked on the inside pivot, which is the Sigma move now, and it was such a key to my career. But he was the one that got me to pivot into a shooting position and keep that ball high. So kept it away from those little guys, and especially, I was playing small college basketball, so the height. There was many times, most of the time, I was playing a guy that was shorter than I was. So keep the ball high and don't let him near it, for sure.
Yeah, and you had along with that, keeping it high, you had a high release, which kind of created that arc to it. So it was almost impossible to block. As someone that used to try to block in practice every once in a while, but it's like there's moves in the NBA, right? There was a finger roll, then there's the sky hook, then there's the Sigma move, and all of them look graceful pretty much and look like, not as simple, but all of them are so hard to master. I mean, I tell people all the time, trying to guard Kareem when he shoots that hook is just impossible. And you don't know how difficult that is. He could shoot that thing from 18 feet out. It's just amazing to me.
Well, and shot it with both hands too. He can go right or left. So and again, as far as where my release point was, as I got to the pros of the NBA, or when I was playing against bigger guys, I didn't make any great adjustments, but over time, I cocked it back there a little more and more as I went up against some bigger guys. And the other part of it was laying it back there. I really felt it helped me get to the free throw line, because I could kind of cock it a little bit and do a little fake and try to get people up in the air. And I was a good free throw shooter. I also felt that just making a living on 15-foot shots along the baseline, even if you shot 50%, your efficiency could be increased a bit if you got to the foul line 6 or 8 times a game, and you benefit yourself and your team.
And you kind of, like you said, you would cock that thing back, but defender guarding you, it looked like it was just laying right out there for you. So you're tempted to go get it, and that's when you clip your elbow or whatever, and now you're shooting free throws.
Yeah. The other funny thing is that there was many of the small guys, the guards, who tried to sneak it from behind. They'd be out in the wing guarding somebody, and they try to sneak in there and tip it when I laid it back. But over time, got a feel for it. It always helped that the guy that was feeding me was a shooter, to make sure that he kept his guy honest and gave me some room to work.
And I'll tell people too, like, to keep people honest with that move, you had a little sneaky, quick first step baseline drive, that kept everybody honest also.
Yeah, that was, we worked on that again when I developed the move, figuring it have to be a counter somewhere. And, but it kept it really simple. And, I felt like people guarding me had to be pretty erect to bother the shot. So if I get them to stand up a little bit, I had a chance to get around them before they could adjust.
Hey, Jack, you played against this team, man. You ever heard, you not played against, but you ever heard of Gus Williams?
Well, I did. And he was one of my favorite teammates. We had a lot of good time together.
I don't hear to mess around today, so I'm getting straight to it. And I'm going to tell you something first. As you know, I'm George's younger brother.
Right.
In 1977-78, my sister, my mom, and myself, we were already packed, and we were headed to Seattle. At the time, the Spurs were up 3-1 against Washington. And of course, we know the rest is history. We became the first team to ever blow a 3-1 lead. But as far as your team, I know that year you guys made it to the finals. But tell me about a little bit. A lot of people, the young people, might not know about your squad. Can you tell us a little bit about all the guys you were surrounded by, man? Because it breaks my heart today how the young people, a lot of them don't study their history, and they don't know about the Gus Williams and the Freddie Browns. Can you tell us a little bit about your team, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah, we had a team in which Lenny Wilkins put together. Matter of fact, my rookie year, I think there was maybe 10 out of the 12 were new guys that came to the team. That was the year Marvin Webster was with us, and Lenny made a big trade with Denver. So the starting lineup by time about 20 games into the season was Marvin, myself, John Johnson across the front line, and Dennis Johnson and Gus Williams at the guard spots. Two young guards who were very talented, their skill set. I mean, DJ was a great defender. He could pass, he could run, he was athletic. Gus, was probably the fastest ball guy in the league at that time with the ball in his hands. And so we get it to him and he push it up. Key part of that team was a couple veterans that came off the bench. Fred Brown, for the first time, wasn't starting, but he was our instant offense. You see it a lot nowadays where that sixth man comes in and they run a lot of plays for him. And he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. I still stand by the fact that he was the best shooter I ever played with, and I played with some good shooters. Unfortunately, it wasn't until late in his career the three-point shot came in. So he probably scored another 10 or 15% of the points if the three-point line was in. And then Paul Silas, who was really my mentor as a rookie, came off the bench, and he had won a couple championships with the Celtics. And we had kind of a three-man rotation where I'd start at the power forward, but I'd move over to the center when Paul would come in and give Marvin a rest, and then Paul would play, or then I'd sit down and get a rest. So that was kind of the core of the team. We did have a young bench. The following year, we had one major change. Marvin Webster signed a huge free agency contract with the Knicks, 4 years at $1.6 million, basically $400,000 a year. That's below minimum nowadays, but that was the huge one. And we got Lonnie Shelton in return. So Lonnie Shelton, who again, I've had my best rebounding years when I played alongside Lonnie, because his man was never anywhere close to the basket. So it's tough to get around that big body. So he came in, and so I ended up playing the center position for the whole year, very little at power forward. And we were able to get the bullets that time. But I have to tell you, Derek, I remember the evening on Game 7 where the Spurs and the Bullets were playing, because we were sitting in the airport, because 2 days later, no matter where, whoever won, we were going to play Game 1 on Sunday. I believe it was a Friday night. So we didn't know whether we were going to San Antonio or to Washington. And unfortunately for the Spurs, they weren't able to get it done.
Wow.
We're talking Hall of Famer Jack Sikma here. Jack, our viewers are all excited to have you on. Kayvon says, come back to
Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And then I wanted to say something quickly about that lineup.
Okay, he says, come back to the Toronto Raptors organization here. We love you in Canada. And especially getting to run into you at YYZ and name dropping Big Mo. You were a great presence. And John Washington asked about DJ. He was one of my favorite guards to watch operate. How was he at practice? And what was his preparation like? Jack?
I'm sorry. I'm trying still to get on screen here. What was the question?
I asked you about what it was like to be with DJ. What was it like playing with Dennis Johnson?
DJ was a competitor. And again, he could affect the game in so many ways. Just a great defender. He had length, but his anticipation was fantastic. And during his early career with the Sonics, he probably wasn't appreciated as much as what a great passer he was. It wasn't until, again, he got to Boston, maybe, where he ran the show there quite a bit, and knew how to run the offense, and was got his due credit as far as passing the basketball.
DJ got the credit, and poor John Johnson remained in obscurity. And I was such a big John Johnson fan, Jack. It's amazing, the guys like him, the Jim McMillans, that you got these players that give their heart and soul, and they go under the radar, man. That breaks my heart. So I had to shoot a shout out to John Johnson, because I remember all the hard work he put in as about a 6'5", 6'6" power forward.
Yeah, he was strong, and he would lay the wood on his opponent. No one liked going up against him. And he was, again, really good in the break. He was another great passer. That's the other thing about that team. Gus was our leading scorer, but we had I think we had, with Fred coming off the bench, 6 of us averaging double figures. And it could be somebody different every night being the lead scorer. Lenny did a great job matchup wise of figuring out, where to get the ball depending on the matchups. And it was a team in which a lot of people, I think the Detroit team that won 4 straight against the Lakers and us, and talk about teams where there wasn't real big name superstars on it, but as a team they won championships. And I always felt that way about our team. And so you're right. I appreciate you bringing up John Johnsons and Lonnie Sheltons and Paul Silas and Fred Browns and Gus Williams. It was all of us. And it was a great experience breaking into the league for me. Going to the finals the first 2 years really was a springboard for my career.
I think a lot of people don't, you don't have to love each other or get along greatly to be a winners. But we had Ricky Pierce on a couple of weeks ago, and we were reminiscing. And in my 8 years in Milwaukee, I can't remember a single player that I didn't like. That was just a jerk that no one got along with, and that means something, and that means something for the team. Even if it's the 10th or 11th guy, it still means something.
Hey, Paul, right before you answer, Ricky called. I'll tell you how important that is. Ricky called me yesterday, man, to say hello. Just yesterday. I'm not exaggerating. Relationships. Yes, sir.
Well, we had a good time and a good team. We enjoyed playing together there. And there was some turnover during the years I played. You played 8, I played 5 years in Milwaukee. And if we had to get mad at somebody, usually Nelly would step in and give us an opportunity to get mad at somebody, whether it's his practice or getting in your kitchen or whatever. But he had a purpose there too, to try to. I think I think the Milwaukee franchise and the fans have always valued, having a group that looks like they were connected and enjoyed playing with each other.
Yeah, Nelly thought outside the box and acted outside the box. I've told this story before, I'm pretty sure on a show, but I had played really well in the playoffs for a year. And I'd been with the Bucks for 2 years, but my contract was up, and I played really good against the Bulls. I played good against Philly. So I was a free agent, and Nelly called me like the next morning after we lost to Philly, I think, and offered me a contract that was nice. But I said, Coach, thank you. I need to talk to my wife and my agent. And he said, well, it's only good for the next 5 minutes. If you hang up that. So long story short, I ended up signing a contract with the Kansas City Kings back then. a 4-year deal that the Bucks could match. And Nelly waited till the last day to match it. And then I came back in the training camp. And that training camp, the first 3 days were hell for me. He was yelling at me for everything. And I was in great shape. I was playing really well. And he's just on me. And I remember before a morning practice, I got him in the hallway. I said, "Coach, can I talk to you for a minute?" He goes, "Yeah, Mo, what is it?" I said, "Why are you on my ass? I'm in shape. I'm playing really good. And you're just on me every day." And he looks at me and goes, "So in other words, you want me to get off your back?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay." And he walked away. And then he wasn't on my ass anymore. I'm like, wow, he has a purpose for everything.
Well, that's another thing about Nelly. Nelly's got the first dime he ever earned. So he shouldn't be giving you a hard time about trying to do what's best for yourself. So anyway.
Hey, Jack, can you tell us the fans about the contrasting styles between, because you deal with, and I look at Nelly as more of a rebel. And then I look at Lenny as more of a do-it-by-book guy. Can you tell us about how it differentiated between those two for you and how you made the adjustment?
Lenny was more of a bigger concept guy as far as how he approached the game. Our defense was really sound fundamentally, but it was like a bend, don't break. Let's make them shoot it over the top, and contain and that kind of thing. His offense and Nelly's offense, there was a lot of similarities. We used the pinch post a lot in both those offenses. But I thought defensively was different. Nelly's defense, and it took me a while to learn it, and I struggled early with it, particularly with foul trouble, but it was really force everything baseline. And that big guy has to come over and any kind of penetration contest before the penetration got to the lane. So there was a lot more of a force versus contain kind of concept between the two concepts or two coaches. And then, Nelly liked to mess with matchups a lot. He put Paul Pressey on the big guy defensively. He was very creative to the point where some of the stuff worked and some of it didn't. Where Lenny, you pretty much knew your responsibility night in and night out, and you understood on the offensive end, it wasn't really an isolation scenario. You get the ball in the pinch post and you turn, and there was an option over here and an option over there, and you knew what guys were going to do. And so there's some differentiations between the two of them, but we're talking about the two guys with the most wins, NBA wins in coaching history, and I got to play for both of them. So I tell them both
Jack,
that I'm the reason. I'm the reason.
Listener as well, and that's why I brought it up in the first place. That's why I kind of asked about the similarity or to differentiate the difference. Because for Alton to go there and play for both coaches, I'm sure it was a little adjustment as well.
Well,
so
actually,
would you say that both of them, at the end of the day, Paul, were coaches that Jack, that you could really believe in and believe that they could lead you to the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I mean, they did their work. They've been around. They were experienced. They dealt with their team as they were comfortable and kind of as their personality was. Lenny was much more low key. You never saw him really blow up or get real mad, where Nelly's a little bit more emotional. And of course, when he first got in the league as a coach, he was infamous for blowing up at the referees or whatever and get kicked out of the game. He settled down as time went on. But
hey, Jack, I saw him in my time there. I saw him take off his green jacket in Philly and fling it into the stands. And I saw him get the game ball and punt it into the stands.
Well, and How about the time, it wasn't Nelly, but it was Dell when he stepped out on the court and stopped the fast break. So there was the coaches in Milwaukee were entertaining.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Hey, we're talking with Hall of Famer Jack Sikma, 14 years in the NBA, Illinois Wesleyan University. Jack, were you highly recruited out of high school growing up in Illinois?
I was a late bloomer. I was 6'1" as a sophomore and then went to 6'10" as a senior. So I grew a lot. I was really, really skinny. My senior year, I started to get some attention, and I visited some of the big schools and had some offers. Coach Bridges at Wesleyan was the first coach to really see me play and have an interest in me. And it was kind of early my senior year before, I got well known or whatever. And I was a farm boy. It just worked out that I was more comfortable there, and we had a good team, and I needed some time to really mature, but I didn't want a red shirt, and I wanted to be out there playing. And so it worked out. It was a tough decision. I turned down some free rides, but it worked out great. And again, he was really committed to me, and we worked hard on trying to develop my post game. Hence the Sikma move came to be. And I don't know where I would be in the NBA without that. It wasn't until late in my career and I got around Mo that I started to park out at the 3-point line and shoot some three.
It was nice. It was good air out there, man. Hey, Jack, I want to, we have our show, we talk all the time, and we talk to players, coaches, referees. I want to get your view a little bit, and we've talked about this a lot. The difference between, the game then and the game now. You're a long-time assistant in the NBA with the Rockets and Seattle, and then helping out in Toronto. Can you just talk a little bit about the difference in the game now? We all know it was more physical back then. There's also other stuff going on. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm the support that a team has from the standpoint of training, science, as far as fitness, nutrition, all those things add up to building better machines. And I use machines as, I don't mean it negatively, but the players today are bigger, faster, stronger. The pace of the game is much faster, I think, overall. Coaching, as far as the depth of coaching and video and player development and all those kinds of things. When I got in the league, we go on the airplane and there's 12 players. Some teams only had 11, a trainer and a coach and assistant coach. There's 14 people traveling, and that's it. And there wasn't a lot of time to scout. There wasn't a lot of time to prepare for the next opponent. So it's really more kind of the basics. You go back to a little bit of John Wooden. It's not about what the other team does, it's what we do. And you're able to concentrate on that. Today, there's just so much more information, throw in the analytics. And then I think the other big thing, and this is where I really appreciate the fact that I'm part of the NBA, is how well players today are able to handle and deal with all the media, because it is a huge demand on a daily basis, post game, whatever, pre-game, and it's great. It means there's a couple more zeros in the end of your contract. It's improves the paycheck for sure, but so that's part of it. That's kind of more of the off the court stuff. On the court, it's always, you see it in every big time sport. You got the best minds trying to figure out how to get an edge. And that's still the case. So I think the game is great. I really feel the NBA's done a good job with COVID, but it just, without the crowds, we're going to lose momentum for sure. Hopefully with the vaccine and so forth, by the end of this season and the start of next, trying to get back to normal, I think is really important.
Yeah, I mean,
hey Jack,
NBA travel groups now are 60 people. Trainers, equipment guys, media people. 10 coaches per team. And you're on a private jet. I coached in the D League, G League for 8 years. I still think that every rookie in the NBA should play in the G League for a week or a month and see what a real flight is like and a real trip is like. To say, to then you get on your private jet, you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Keep them grounded, huh, Paul? I heard that.
Hey, we got a lot of time.
Hey, Jack, can you tell us, man, because I know we're not going to be on much longer. We were talking about Paul asked you about how the game has changed. And I'm going to bring up two guys preparing and getting your scouting report for brother, his era, as opposed to guarding KD today. What would be the differences or the similarities as far as the scouting report with the non-contact and contact era?
When I was with the Sonics, the scouting report for George and was DJ, you got him. You got him.
Good luck.
Yeah, if he gets by you, we'll try to help you at the hoop, but I keep him out of there as best you can, DJ. So, but that's why I'm saying you just didn't have all the information. And again, it was really important to gain experience in the league and get out in the court and play, because that's where you learn guys' tendencies. And I mean, I remember, getting in the locker room before the game, and coach would ask you, okay, what's the key things Kareem will do? I said, well, you got to play that left shoulder and try to, fight him as much as you can before the catch, to get him a step or two farther away, and then go straight up and, chest him a little bit and hope he misses his share. Right. A good night against Kareem is, 15 for 28. He's missed 13 shots. That's a good night against him. And that was more of the case.
Maybe get him to throw a punch at you and get kicked out of the game.
Hey, Paul, but even talking defensively, he's talking fundamentals now that a lot of people sleep on, and the young people, he's talking about making guys catch it off their sweet spot and making them knowing which shoulder they shoot on or over, which direction they like to go. So I'm hoping the kids are still paying attention now. He's talking about the fundamentals of basketball.
Yep. And, I would say nowadays with Durant, trying to guard a guy from like Durant, you're going to get, he likes to go left and shoot going left. So you have to, try to keep him from doing that. And, but I think it's more of a 5-man defense against them, where you're pushing them a little bit more towards people. But I mean, again, the one-on-one stuff, and there's just so many guys that can create their own shot, and you got to try to wear them down a little bit. But even now, the fitness level and that kind of thing, that's a hard thing to do. So no one person can stop a great offensive player. That's for sure. Your brother is a perfect example of that. There's no way you could stop them all by yourself.
But you still study the game, I see.
Well, I coached for a while too, so I had an opportunity to stay in it. I was out of the game for about 10, 12 years. I was out of the game during the time when the money really got big. and air travel and everything changed. So when I got back in, I was a little bit like Mo, because I remember traveling the NBA much like the G League, where you're hopping on commercial planes and first thing in the morning. And then I went from there to now everybody's got their own plane and their own flight.
Well, what do you want to eat on the plane? We'll make it for you.
Yes, for sure.
Hey, Jack, we got a lot of comments here for you. We want to try to get to them quickly before you get out of here. What was it like working with Jonas in Toronto under Nick Nurse?
Well, first of all, when I first started working with JV in Toronto, Nick was an assistant coach on the team, and actually worked a lot with JV. So I got to know Nick a lot through working with JV. And Nick's a thinker. He's had a wealth of experience. You talk about coaching all over the world, G League experience, and he asked me to kind of work on JV's focus, his skill set. He can get a little better in everything, but it's more, trying to make sure he focused and was prepared game in and game out. And Nick's a quick read on that. So we worked hard with JB there, and he made some really good progress. It was unfortunate for JB that he wasn't able to experience the championship in Nick's first year, because he got traded at trade deadline. But that trade was important for the Raptors to win the championship. Marc Gasol came in and provided some valuable skill set and so forth, but had a great experience with both Nick and especially with JV. JV and I really enjoyed working with him.
Jack, send him to my team now. We putting the message out right now, and that was a great question. Valanciunas or Vucevic to the LA Clippers?
Hey, we got another one for you, Jack. You gave almost every big in the league a problem. Who gave you a problem? Who did you have a hard time guarding?
Well, Kareem's skyhook and Moses' intensity. Those two were, they were both MVPs while I was playing in the league. But that's the other thing. There wasn't many easy nights. Shoot artists in San Antonio and Chicago and Lanier and Detroit, and with the Bucks when I was with the Sonics, Parrish, Walton.
Wow.
I'd broken the league against Dave Cowens, for crying out loud. I had to chase him all up and down the court, I think I counted. I went head to head with like 14 centers who were in the Hall of Fame. So it was night in and night out. It was tough.
Was Wes Unseld on that Bullets team?
Yeah, Wes Unseld. I mean, I'm forgetting people here. And it's
what's funny? I think Paul.
Issel.
Jack, I asked Paul that once, and he gave me the same two names. And I think for Moses, you said Moses' unpredictability, which sounds like what Jack was saying about his intensity, because you didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, Jack, and the two. I mean, I guarded Kareem, I guarded, Parrish and those guys. I guarded you. You're a Hall of Famer. The two that gave me the most problem were Moses Malone and Kevin McHale. And I tell people the reason for that is I never knew what they were going to do. I didn't know if they're going to go up and under, throw it over their left shoulder, go get the rebound. I never knew what they were going to do. And that's what caused me the most problems. I knew keep Kareem from going to his left shoulder, and he's going to go right and dunk one time and maybe dribble off his foot. But if you let him go left, it's over. And Moses, and I had the opportunity to be a rookie under Moses when he was MVP in Houston. And I didn't play very much, but I practiced against him. And man, I learned more in 1 year practicing against Moses than 10 years in the NBA.
Well, and the other part about Moses is, you try to 3/4 him and get around him to keep the pass from going in. But the problem is, what if somebody shot it? Because he's got inside position on it, and it's an offensive rebound. I mean,
Hey, Jack, we had Del Harris was the coach in Houston when I was there, and Mike Dunleavy was one of the guards. And we had a play, Del put a play in that he would get people 3/4ing Moses, and then Moses would pivot, and Mike or somebody would throw it off the backboard intentionally, and Moses would get it and lay it in. And then, of course, Mike Dunleavy would run over to the scorer's table and say, that wasn't a shot, it was an assist.
But again, different skill sets, unique in each in their own way. That's what makes the game great. Somebody figures something out and can go to it night in and night out, and it works.
Hey, one more for you, Jack. Rick Schulte, I hope I said that right, Rick, said, Jack, I tried to mimic your high release jumper as a kid. Almost never got it blocked. Thanks for being fundamentally sound and in my eyes and helping me as a middle school player. I just wonder how tall Rick was when he was trying to step the step back.
Yeah, well,
I guess that really says a lot, man. Your game has stood the test of time, and you had your signature shot, and you came to play every night. I mean, your first 5 years you played every game, and you missed a couple of your 6 year, came back the next year, played all 82 games. You were always available, which is critical to being a successful.
Hey, Ricky, I like looking at the Space Needle, man, but I like looking at Key Arena as well. They need a team, man. Seattle, they deserve a team. They have the Seahawks, which is great, and they didn't get to use their 12th man this year. But the Seattle Supersonics deserve a team, and I really hope they get one very, very soon. While they're talking about revamping the league and maybe adding another team or two, that should be one of the first teams they look at.
Well, Seattle would love for that to happen. That's for sure. We missed. There's a generation now, young people that haven't experienced having a team like the Sonics in town, and there's still a rabid fan base here. So hopefully, like you say, hopefully it happens sooner or later, Derek. Hopefully soon.
Any push for something like that, Jack?
Pardon?
Is there any kind of push for something like that?
Well, the stadium, ownership here, all that kind of stuff, that's the easy part. It's really if the league wants to expand or if there's a franchise available, it's really limitation to being able to get into the NBA. So it starts with the NBA. Yeah, everything else will fall in place here for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to burst people's bubble because I think that before Seattle, Las Vegas, right here where I am right now, is going to get a team.
Well, I think they should add two.
Bird deserves a Becky Hammond opportunity.
Absolutely.
Well, one other thing before we get going, that people out there need to realize that even like later in Jack's career, when I played with him in Milwaukee, he stepped out and shot the three, when Big started doing that. And he also shot 90% or 85 plus from the free throw line, which is valuable now. So, ahead of his time in that area.
I got a funny.
Oh, he's a legend, man. Jack, you're one of the greatest ever, man. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not saying that because you're on this show. I'm a big fan, always have been, man. And I appreciate you. And I mean sincere. I think you are a pure legend, and I want to congratulate you on your induction to the Hall of Fame. It was very well earned, very, very much so.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm very humbled by it, and just to be there, be included in the not just a great group of players or coaches or people connected to the game, but also just great people. So it was a highlight for sure.
Hey, Jack, last time I saw you, we were in Houlihan's in New Jersey and Secaucus. I just didn't bother you, man.
I was probably with Mo. So
He probably was stuck out in New Jersey land trying to get to New York.
Yeah.
One more before you go, Jack. That time in Milwaukee, those were really good teams. Paul has talked about it before. What was your experience playing there and on those just high quality teams? You guys could never quite get there, but you were always challenging.
Yeah, I enjoyed my years in Milwaukee. I had a young family. My family was young at that point in time, and really great fan base, a great organization. Senator Cole always treated me really well, so I was fortunate to be part of that. We did have a tough division. You talk about the Pistons during their championship years. It was the dawning of Michael Jordan in Chicago. The Cleveland team with Doherty and Price and Larry Nance, they were good. So it was Atlanta with Dominique, and so it was just really, really a tough division. And night in and night out, you had to answer the bell. So, and I thought we had some opportunities maybe to go a little farther. My first year there, we had a chance in Boston and didn't get it done. But anyway, they were good years and always playoff teams. I don't know if we won 50 games each time, but we were right around 150 games a year there for that period of time.
The best guys, you got to know that Jack and his family put on the best New Year's Eve parties ever in Milwaukee, and except for the time when the Christmas tree caught on fire. But we'll talk about that on another show.
Can you keep those Chevy Chase stories off of here?
Yes, please do. I don't remember anything about that.
Hey, Jack, we gotta look. You gotta come back and visit with us, man. We got a ton of people that want to ask you questions.
I'd love to do that, and I promise I'll figure out the Zoom call so that you can see me this time. Okay.
You gotta see your face.
Yeah.
Basketball Hall of Famer Jack Sigmund. Thank you so much, Jack.
Thanks, guys. It was fun. Appreciate it.
Have a great night, Mr. Sigmund. Thank you very much.
Take care.
We'll be back next Monday with Derek Gervin, Paul McKeskey.
Ricky, Paul, I love you guys, man. Have a fantastic night. Peace, everybody. Listeners, peace. One love.